What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 92 of the Say It Out Loud Sports Podcast. I am your host, Patrick Graham. I am back after missing last week's show, and it was a good one. Bob and Pete sat down with hometown off-road racer Darren Parsons, had a great conversation. If you missed that one, go check it out, and if you haven't yet, go and subscribe. New episodes every Wednesday. NFL's coming up quick, UFC every, once a month, and of course, we'll cover whatever else pops up in the sports world. Today, I got a couple special guests to basically put a bow on the NBA season. The Milwaukee Bucks ended as NBA champions, so congrats to Giannis and those guys. But the show goes on. The offseason starts immediately. All right, the draft is this week. I got two gurus jumping on to educate all of us on what to watch for this week on Thursday night, NBA draft. Both these guys have been on the show before, but not at the same time. These two do their homework, and I like to call them deep divers of the NBA draft talent pool. Representing the best network in the game, not ESPN, but we got Off the Ball Network President Chris Lebron and VP Stephen Gillaspie. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, people? Happy to be on the show, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat, anytime that we get to do some work together, man, it's fun. It's always a good time. I love the energy that you bring. And obviously, Prez, anytime that we get to work together, man, it's always a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about this draft. In 2 days, it's like Christmas, man. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, man. The NBA, like I said, I like to call you guys the deep divers. I know you guys do your homework. Steven's mock drafts are, rapid fire. They change. It seems like you change them daily, which tells us you're doing your homework. And I know you've been on shows. I know, Prez, you've been doing your research. And the Knicks got a couple top, 2 first-round picks, so we'll get into that. But first, let's get in. We're going to draft the top 10. Steven has deferred his pick, so we're going to start with number 1. And Chris, you're on the clock, and you got the Detroit Pistons. If you were the Pistons GM, who are we going with?
All right, so with the first pick, I know there's been buzz around Pistons possibly trading and contemplating other players, but I don't believe any of that. I think it's smokescreen season. So number 1 pick, Cade Cunningham at Oklahoma State is the pick. I don't think if you're Detroit, don't think about this too much. Just make the pick, and you'll be very, very happy. With this selection, this guy can do pretty much everything. He's a 3-level scorer, tremendous passer, so smooth, great leader. You just don't hesitate. Just take him, and you'll be very happy, and you'll be on your way to getting things right finally in Detroit.
Yeah, I saw a report. Did you see the report of SGA and the 6th overall pick for number 1? And apparently it turned out, I didn't know if that was true, but that's kind of a big haul.
Yeah, I heard that. I still wouldn't do it if I was Detroit. There would have to be like an absolutely, enormous deal that's like it just has to be out of this world for me to give up the number 1 pick. To me, you take Cade and you start building. You got Killian Hayes, you got Isaiah Stewart, you've got some Sadiq Bey, you've got pieces. Jeremy Grant, who they got picked up and was a steal. You add Cade to this, things are going to go in the right direction finally for Detroit. So don't everything. Obviously, you're always going to listen to offers. You always listen to offers because you just never know. But I don't think you should. I don't think you should budge from the number 1 pick. Take Cade, and you'll be very happy.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about that on Nothing But Bets a while back. If Cade was a lock at 1, this was 3-4 months ago, and I agree. So Cade Cunningham, first off the board. Detroit Pistons, don't screw it up. All right, Steven.
I mean, they can.
They could.
They can, but they could. They really could because they've messed it up for a while. But This is the absolute slam dunk. So. Yeah. Just do the right thing, Detroit.
Agreed. All right, Steven, you're up. Houston Rockets. This needs more. They need about five first-round draft picks to fix this situation. But who's the best fit for them, in your opinion?
Well, they're a little bit more than halfway there, Pat. They got 3 first-round draft picks. Obviously, the first one is going to be a number 2. But they also have, the 23rd and 24th pick in this draft, and they can get a couple steals down that late. But at number 2, I'm probably going to shock the world a little bit. I know that everyone has Jalen Green penciled in here. And listen, Jalen Green is a fantastic talent. He's electric. I don't doubt anybody at all for going with him here. But what Houston needs, in my opinion, look, we just saw James Harden sour his way out of Houston. Whether or not you think he did it the right way, I feel like, Pat, that's probably another show that we could do. But Houston, their GM left them. He said that he was done with basketball. Then 2 weeks later, he's introduced as the Philadelphia 76ers, president of basketball operations. Mike D'Antoni walks out the door. PJ Tucker wants out. Russell Westbrook wants out. They are in dire need of an identity and a change of culture. And there's one player in this draft that I think comes in and establishes the culture, and that's Jalen Suggs out of Gonzaga. And listen, when you hear people talk about the difference between a Cade Cunningham and a Jalen Suggs, they talk about Cade Cunningham like he's a 15-year-old coming out, just a basketball wonder, and he is. But they talk about Jalen Suggs like he's 25 years old and isn't going to get any better anymore in his NBA career. And that couldn't be further from the truth. He was a tremendous football player. A lot of people don't know that. But, on a really talented Gonzaga team, he averaged close to 14 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, kind of a 50, 30, 70 player. Has a little bit of room to grow in his jump shot. But when you talk about a guy who just knows how to, has a mature game already and is only going to get better, he's going to be one of those guys that isn't going to live with his faults as a pro. He's going to work hard. The type of guy that I'm sure Steven Silas would love to coach. And again, there's probably more electric players, but Jalen Suggs is going to be an outstanding NBA pro, and I would take him second overall if I was the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, I like Suggs too. Watching him in the tournament, I didn't watch too much of him. A lot of people didn't, other than the West Coast guys. The Suggs seems like the safe pick, but he's more than that. I agree with you. Everything you said is 100% true. I think he can change that culture for sure. So I don't disagree there. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man.
Good stuff.
Just the work that I've done on him, like I liken him to a guy that I really enjoyed last season, Tyrese Halliburton. And look, he went to Sacramento as a team that's downtrodden. Look, and they didn't have a great season, but Tyrese Halliburton definitely made that team more competitive. If you paid any attention at all to Sacramento, which if you didn't, I don't blame you. But if you did, Tyrese Halliburton was kind of a culture changer there. Jalen Suggs could do the exact same thing in Houston.
Yeah, no, I remember last year when you were on the show, we had you on before the draft, and you were talking up Halliburton, and you were you're accurate on that take as well. So I trust you with the Suggs. All right, Chris, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cleveland Cavaliers on the clock, and what Steven said about Suggs was absolutely true as far as the upside thing. Like, people are talking about him as if he's like a Chris Duarte, where he's 24 years old. Like, he's still 20 years old and still has if his upside is Brandon Roy, that's still major upside. So I don't know why people limit his upside, because I think just people watch him so much, maybe that's why. But to me, that's not why you should think that he doesn't have high upside, which he still does. But with the third pick, Cleveland. See, if this is the case, I think they'll definitely make a trade with one of their guards, and they kind of have a crowded front court too. So I could see them making a deal before the draft, trading one of their bigs or the Sexton or something we've been hearing about. But if they stay status quo, I think you have to take Evan Mobley at USC with this pick. The guy is a tremendous fluid athlete for his size, 7 foot, 7'4" wingspan. He can do a little bit of everything. He's going to be a defensive stalwart from the jump, can block shots, has a nice face-up game, can move in the perimeter, can guard multiple positions. Obviously needs to get a little stronger, but, that's with everyone. So, I don't really see that as a weakness. Everyone in this draft needs to get stronger, and that will come. Like Giannis, we saw how Giannis looked his first year, he got stronger. So with the NBA program, you'll get stronger. So I don't even like saying that's like a weakness, but if he bulks up and he becomes what he can, gets his man body, he's going to be scary. He's going to be scary when he figures everything out, so to me, Evan Mobley to the Cavs, and they'll probably trade other guys to give him room so he can do some things. So I'm going to go Evan Mobley from USC.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if there's that. I think Steven tweeted this out earlier about the this draft is going to be nuts with trades, and that could be the a top 3 pick could be on the move. You got even the next pick we're going to talk about in a second. The Raptors, they were offering that up. It seemed like to get who was it? I don't know, but this pick could be on the move.
They were talking about getting Ben Simmons. I think that was the rumor that I saw today.
Yeah, to get Ben Simmons. So
Ben Simmons. Oh wow!
This draft could be absolutely crazy. So come Thursday night, this mock draft we're doing could be absolutely irrelevant, but we're still going to do it. So with the 4th pick,
by tomorrow it could be like I'm doing my mock draft. Like I would almost have my mock draft finished, and then the trade happened, and I was like, oh, rip this up and start all over now, because then it changes everything. So it's like, it's crazy. Like I'm literally going to wait till tomorrow night or even Thursday to finalize everything.
Yeah.
Draft my final mock and my board. Like it's crazy.
All right. We're Toronto Raptors. We're going to stick them. They're at 4. We're going to assume they're staying there. So Steven, if the Raptors do stay where they're at, who do you see them targeting?
Oh, dude, they run for the podium right now and grab Jalen Green. I mean, I think that this may be the furthest in any mock draft that you'll see him. But the thing is that, like, if you just pay attention to what mainstream, drafts, circles or, communities are putting out there, obviously Jalen Green is probably not going to go this low. But you just heard us make logical, informed, educated selections with the Suggs and with the Mobley. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that, it's not going to happen, but you could at least understand why Green would fall here to Toronto. But yeah, there's no way that Toronto lets Green fall any further. He's one of, if not the premier athletes in this entire draft. His offensive upside is apparent. He's going to be electric in the open court. He's got the handle. He's got the elevation. He's going to be able to, draw. He's going to have gravity when he attacks the basket. He's going to learn how to, make reads off of a pick and roll. That's going to happen. But what people don't talk about enough, in my opinion, is his defensive potential. You're talking about a guy who can do a chase down block, who can get a steal, who can poke the ball out to a teammate, then run in transition and finish, with tremendous elevation. So if you're Toronto, imagine this lineup, fellas. You could have a Van Vliet, Green, Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, and Pascal Siakam rotation out there, and then just go and find you a center, at a mid-level exception or trade for one. There's unlimited potential with a Nick Nurse team that has Jalen Green inserted into this lineup. Yeah, if you're Toronto, I think you're on the clock for a second, or you're listening for your phone to ring for tremendous deals, and you might be able to land a superstar if Jalen Green is available this late in the draft.
Yeah, that lineup sounds pretty good, especially in the East. I mean, we always say, we know the West is going to be competitive, but if you can field that kind of lineup in the East, I think you're probably, lower end, maybe mid-level playoff team, and we'll see what happens. And then you also mentioned pay attention to the draft pundits around. Another thing to pay attention to is the sports books. I remember last year when Patrick Williams was climbing draft boards the last day, and I'm like, there's no way he's going this high. And he went 4, I think, to the Bulls. So
he went to Chicago. Yeah.
So that's another thing to pay attention to if you're either betting on the draft or even just, following the draft heavy. Oh, yeah. The sports books odds will change quickly once they get a source.
You're absolutely right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot that happened. I remember Patrick Williams was getting buzzed and the lines are going. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like,
yeah, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely got to stay tuned for that now.
So yeah, the over under draft boards like 19.5. You look at the teams drafting right around there, and the rumors. I think Ayo Dosunmu was one that they had. The over under was 20.5, which surprised me. But I guess the Knicks were in talks. That's one of the guys I talked to at one of the sports books. And he said, just look out.
The Lakers, too, apparently aren't going to let him fall past 22 now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he drops like 22.5, but the under would be my play. Anyway, that's getting a little off topic. So let's go to the Orlando Magic at number 5. Chris, you're up.
Orlando, so they have 2 picks in this draft. I've been going back and forth with this team because the guys that I have at this, they're a lot of upside guys, and that word can can mean a lot, and it can also get you in trouble with teams, guys who have big upside. So I'm actually gonna change what I usually would do here in my mock, and I'm going to go James Bouknight out of UConn here. I love Kuminga. I do like Kuminga. I like Scotty Barnes, but those guys are projects, especially Kuminga, who's still raw, still 18 years old, still learning how to play the game. He should be in his senior year of high school right now. He reclassified, so he's still learning how to play the game. I don't think if you're the Magic, do you take another project? You have Isaac, Mo Bamba. Like, you took in a bunch of projects that haven't popped yet. Do you take another one, right? So why not? I know Bouknight, and maybe a little bit of a reach here, but if we're going to, and I think they'll even consider trading down or waiting for their next pick to take him, but I think I would take him before, I think a team would take him before that. So I think you take him here, you get an instant impact score. I know he's people worry about his playmaking and all that, but to me, you get a guy who can absolutely just light it up, and they need that. They need a spark that can to give them some energy in Orlando. Like I said, they got a bunch of projects, so why not get a guy that can contribute, kind of, off the gate and just, come in, be a spark, give you some points, and still has some upside also, that he can be a 20-point scorer in this league. So I got swayed today with that, because someone made a really good point about that. So I'm going to go James Bouknight out of UConn for Orlando.
Nice. I haven't seen him going that high, but he's like you said, he's a walking bucket, and they got decent young talent. They got Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac's going to be back, Mo Bamba. They got some guys. So Bouknight, instant offense, not a bad pick. That would definitely shake up some draft boards. So I like it.
I know, and it always happens, right? We're always going to, like Patrick Williams last year. Nobody expected that. So I expect something like that, where we're not going to get, everyone has the usual top 4, top 5. If there is going to be a shakeup, I think Orlando is going to shake it up and not, and do something. So that's my shakeup. If I had to project a shakeup, I think that's that Orlando pick is where they'll go out of the norm.
Yeah, and they got number 8 too, so they can kind of roll the dice a little bit on one of them for sure. So that's not a terrible idea for them. All right, Oklahoma City Thunder. We got Steven.
Yeah. So real quick, Chris, you were talking about shakeups. Look, Houston needs a little bit of everything. Even if they landed one of the best players in this draft, they're still a little bit of a ways away. I mean, do you think Orlando might be on the phone with Houston trying to trade 5 and 8 to move up second and just build a deep team for a little while down in Houston? I mean, this is something to keep an eye on. But for Oklahoma City, they have a number of picks in this year's draft. I believe they have 6 off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken. I was going to look at Bouknight. I mean, this is where I have him in my mock. There's a number of mocks that have him here. And the thing is like Oklahoma City, they have they have pretty decent forward depth. They don't have a lot of guards here. So I think I'm just going to go best player available for Oklahoma City, and that's Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, this guy he's young to the game of basketball. A lot of people don't realize that. If you look at his development, you have to understand that he's a couple years behind some of these other guys. So he, in 2 seasons, he's going to look a lot different than he does right now. The thing about him, though, is that he's not afraid of the moment. He draws fouls. He has a couple little moves. And then look, he's got flaws to his game as well. He's not super efficient, but you like the confidence in him. Obviously, going into the G League Ignite's inaugural season, that took a level of fortitude that, other prospects didn't have, that could have gone into the Ignite team and put up monster numbers against, actual people who played or are on 2-way contracts with the NBA. So I like Jonathan Kuminga to Oklahoma City to run the floor with SGA, Darius Bazley. They got Pokachevsky out there. They got some interesting young players. They're still going to be a little bit of a ways away. I don't think that you draft Kuminga that makes you any closer. He just kind of goes with the timeline that's already established in Oklahoma City. But yeah, Kuminga at 6, I think that's an appropriate range to where you could look back, in all honesty, and Kuminga might be the best player in this draft in about 5-6 years. And people are going to be asking, how did he fall this far? Or he might be a guy that is just a rotational player in the NBA. But for Oklahoma City, they have all the picks in the world. Why not go for one of the highest ceilings in the draft at 6?
Yeah, and this is exactly why I have you guys on. I haven't watched a ton of Kuminga or even Jalen Green, which we spoke about. I've seen a little bit, but like obviously the guys in the March Madness draft, Cade, Suggs, Mobley, Book Knight, I've seen all those guys. So this is where you guys come in. I've seen their names everywhere. So Kuminga sounds like the real deal. Like you said, in a couple of years he could be a star, or he could be a Jan Vesely and out of the league. Who knows?
He's the ultimate boomer bust, and I love Kuminga. I think he has all the tools to be a great player, but I could see why people sour on him because he's not really great at anything right now. Like he's like a baby deer. Like
he gets to the line, man. He'll get you 6 points right off the bat for a free throw.
Yeah, but he still has to work on his free throws game and all that. He has got to, his shooting is. I think the biggest thing with him is he's a ball stopper, and just right. And it's hard to really like. I hate to nitpick so much, but if you're gonna nitpick, it's just stuff like that. You got to figure out, just being a better shooter from. I think he only shot like 38% overall, and like low 30s from three. So he got stuff to work on. But if he figures it out, he could be the best player in this draft.
Right.
But he can also be in the Australian League, the NBL, in 3 years. So that's the thing that scares teams the most.
Right. Well, we'll see how it pans out. All right, this next pick, we're going to talk about this pick later. We'll get both your guys' takes on it. But assuming the Warriors stay at 7, Chris, where do you think they go?
The Warriors. I know a couple of people who cover the Warriors saying they really feel like they're going to stay with these picks. They're going to draft these picks and keep these guys on their team. So, assuming they do that, the Warriors, they can go a few ways, but I guess, I take the best player available right here, and I take Scotty Barnes out of Florida State. Do it all player, so versatile as a defender, can guard multiple positions. He's a playmaker. He played point guard, at Florida State. He played with he was a monster in high school, man. He played on some really great teams. I think he was on the Mount Verdi team with Moses Moody and Cade Cunningham. He really had he's really just a good all-around player defensively. He could be an all-NBA defender. Offense needs some work. I don't know if he can go off the dribble right now, but still, he's another guy. If he figures it out on offense, you're getting a potential all-world type of player because he does so many great things as a playmaker and all that. But I think they would, and he would fit right in. He could play that Draymond role. He could play that Draymond role if they think, if Draymond is long in the tooth. I think Scotty Barnes could fill in and be that player if they keep the youth, if they stay young. So I think Scotty Barnes, he's my best player available at this point. So Scotty Barnes out of Florida State to Golden State Warriors.
All right. Not mad at it. I have a guy in mind, but I'm going to bring him up later. So, all right, Orlando. I think Magic number 8. So they already had the 5th pick. Now they're back on the clock at 8. What are you thinking, Steven?
Yeah, so I just want to touch on the Scotty Barnes to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as high on Scotty as other people. He's not high on my board. But this, I think, is a situation, Chris hit it on the head, where I think Golden State, and then if he doesn't go there, Sacramento are like the two ideal places for him where he doesn't have to be the first or second scoring option. He can just kind of go in there, facilitate, and be a really good defender. So it's not as high as I would take him, but I love the fit there. But for Orlando now, we know that they drafted Book Knight 5th overall. They already have good guard depth. They have Fultz if they keep him. They have Anthony. They have R.J. Hampton, Gary Harris. They have guys out there for the backcourt. They need to fill out their front court a little bit. They have a good defender in Jonathan Isaac. So I'm going to go with one of the most polished guys in this entire draft, and that's Alperen Sengun, coming over from overseas. In his league that he competed in, he finished as the MVP as an 18-year-old. And if you can do that, that means that you're really good at basketball. He's got a really polished post game, really good rebounder. A lot of people, I don't think, are looking enough at his ability to run an offense through him. We see this with guys like, obviously, Jokic is a premier standout as your international playmaker from the top of the key or from the elbow. But you can even look at guys like a Jusuf Nurkic, who's another bigger, slower center who has a role in the NBA because he can rebound. He's grown as a defender. He can score in the paint. But the biggest thing about him is that you can run an offense through him, and that's what makes Portland so much of a threat when he's healthy. The same thing can happen in Orlando where you have Bouknight out there with Anthony or, whoever else, RJ Hampton.
Hello.
And then you have a legit low post threat now with Alperen Sengun. And it's just, I think that it would be a great fit, and there's low expectations in Orlando. And I think that he would do a good job down there being a low post threat. And they have enough defense around him to kind of cover up whatever liabilities that may or may not be there.
There you go. Sounds like an overseas steal right there.
Yeah, Sengun. I love Sengun a lot. Like, if this was 10 years ago, he's probably top 3. It's like Jahlil Okafor. He reminds me a lot of Jahlil Okafor as far as their post game and how they move in the post, their footwork, their moves. He has a lot of good post moves. I think the one thing that people are going to harp on is the defense. He's not fleet of foot. He can get killed on pick and rolls. But to me, I love his offense so much that I feel like if you can hide defense. If you got some good plus defenders on the court, I think he has offensive upside where you can get him taking pops in the mid range and all that. So I love the pick. He's he's top 10 on my board. So I love that pick.
Think of like a Domantas Sabonis in Indiana. He's not a fleet of foot guy. He's not a great defender, but he's made all-star teams because he can rebound and he can pass and he can score. I mean, in the Eastern Conference at that position, I mean, that's the exact role that I would have him do nothing but watch Domantas Sabonis and Nikola Jokic tape, or Jusuf Nurkic and Nikola Jokic tape.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting my itches mixed up.
Vucevic too, yeah. Vucevic. Yep. I mean, Vucevic is an all-star. Was an all-star, a couple times, and so there's still value in big guys. Like, I understand the game has changed where you need wings, you need guards, but having a guy that can bang down low is still valuable. I just hope that they don't just extinct the traditional big man. It still has value. So that's why I love Sengun's game. He definitely can do a lot of good stuff other than just scoring. Like, his passing's pretty solid. So go.
All right. Orlando Magic going overseas. All right, let's wrap this up. We got 2 more picks left in the top 10, then we'll get to some questions. Sacramento King, Chris, you were up.
I hate this team. They get everything wrong. Every mock I've seen them get, I hate every mock. They're just a weird team because they have talent and they just can't figure it out ever. I say this a lot. They're what they think the Knicks are. The Sacramento Kings are what people think the Knicks are. It's a mess over there. But this is the 9th pick, right? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento. At this point, it's I would see them definitely try to trade down because you got guys they were like Sengun would be a possible fit, but he's gone. And all the other bigs that they possibly could get would be reaches, in my opinion. But if they're going to stay here, all right. If they're going to stay here, you know what? Let's give them. Let's give them Moses Moody. out of Arkansas.
I love Moody.
Let's go, Moody. He's someone with great size, wingspan. I've been falling in love with wingspan, probably a little bit too much. And he definitely has a wingspan, 7'1". I think he has 7 foot or 7'1" wingspan. I think people trip over like his percentages, like his field goal percentage, and like how he played in the NCAA tournament. But he's someone that to me has unlocked potential. Like I feel like he's going to unlock in the league. Like he has all the skills you want, and so good free throw shooter, shot for three, pretty solid. So obviously needs to work on just consistency and all that. But adding him, you add wing, add him to this. Team has a lot of talent. Like I said, they got Halliburton, they got the Aaron Fox. Buddy Hield's probably get traded. So if Buddy Hield gets traded, you have your replacement right here, Moses Moody. I think he's my highest on the board right now. So I would go Moses Moody for Sacramento.
I like Moody a lot. I've seen him all over the place on mocks. So I've seen him pretty low, and I'm like, that's too low. Then I've seen him super high, and I'm like, that's too high. I just don't. I mean, I don't know where to rank him, but I love his game, and it'll be interesting.
He has a weird ranking. He has a weird He has a very wide range where he can go. Like I've seen him as high as to Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's 5. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen him as to Orlando top 5. I've seen him in 5 to 20. So he's very not very polarizing, but he's some people it's hard to figure him out. I don't know why. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's a very good player. Like I said, gives you defensive versatility. Like you said, there's something there's upside there, with them. And like I said, if they lose Buddy Hield, boom, you replace them with a younger wing and all that. So. Oh, my phone just randomly went crazy, but my phone likes the Moody pick. So, yeah, I think he'll be a fit if they keep pick. But I think they'll definitely try to trade down if Stan moves it on.
All right, last pick of the top 10. Obviously, it was the Pelicans before, but the trade with Bledsoe and the other pick. Now the Grizzlies are selecting 10. So I like the move up to 210, but. We'll see who they land. Steven, who you feeling at 10 for Memphis?
Well, I mean, Moses Moody would have been like the perfect player had he not just get selected. So there's really not a lot of size that I'm looking at on my board right now that I can pair in the backcourt with Ja, which is what I think Memphis should do. So if I can't get another backcourt running mate, I'm going to go with a kind of versatile forward who can spot up and shoot, who is very efficient around the basket. Jalen Johnson, kind of from Duke. He left midway through the season. I just think that all the knocks that are on this guy, with he left Duke, he changed high schools. I just think that the kid just is wanting to be a pro. You know what I mean? And I think so much stock has been put into his level of commitment to basketball. I just think that he really wants to be a pro. Maybe probably would have benefited more from being in the Ignite as opposed to Duke. But, it was a tough commitment to make to an upstart inaugural program. But I think now we're going to start seeing more and more players go through the G League because of the success of a guy like a Green that's going to get drafted high and Kuminga and others. Jalen Johnson probably is thinking that he should have did the same thing. But, going to Memphis, Jalen Johnson, he's 6'9", 6'10", about 220, 230. He's built like a pro. He's got a very fluid game. He gives Ja a lot of help on the wing, something that they need. And now, look, you have a lineup where you can put Dylan Brooks still out there as your 2 or your 3. You can have Johnson out there as your 3 or your 4. Justice Winslow can come off the bench if he's right. You still have Triple J, and now you're adding Steven Adams to be your center. I mean, that's a rugged team in the Western Conference and maybe looking at the play-in tournament this season now. I think Jalen Johnson comes in. He can play off ball as a great spot-up shooter, and his creation with the ball in his hand is only going to get better as he develops. So Memphis, you got Jalen Johnson. You might be happy with this pick in 3 or 4 seasons.
There you go. I know my co-host was asking. He was like, "Where's Jalen Johnson's going to rank?" And I was like, "Well, you have to find out, man. He's a Duke fan. He's a Duke fan. He loves Johnson.
He's a good man. He's a good man. He's a good man.
Everyone has problems. So
yeah, right.
But with Jalen Johnson is like, obviously I'm a Duke fan also, so I watched this season and you see flashes of greatness, and he didn't put all together. But like Steven said, like, you know, some guys just want to play in the pros so bad. So like I'm sure he's gotten all his interviews talked about, because it doesn't just talk about Duke leaving Duke early. Like he went to like 3 or 4 high schools.
Right.
So, and he's supposed to go to IMG, and that didn't work out. So like this is something that I think teams will look at him and be like, okay, you know, are you listening to the right people? You know, but you shouldn't worry about that. You have to worry about what's on the court. On the court, he does a lot of good things. His shot is needs a little tuning. I know his numbers say he looks good, but it was not on a lot of attempts. But you're getting a guy who's great in transition. You know, guy who you know is a solid passer in transition.
Mm-hmm.
Great athlete, great size. What is he? 6'8", 6'9".
Yep.
You know, has everything you want in like a wing, and can play even some low post. He can play in the post a little bit. He has size. He can post you up a little bit. So, you know, he could do a lot of things. He has a lot of upside. And like I said, it could get you in trouble, that word, you know, but he has that. And, you know, I definitely could see him, you know, going in the top 10, because the talent is top 5, quite frankly. But top 10, I wouldn't be shocked if he's a top 10 pick at all.
Right. All right. Well, that's it for the top 10. So we're not going to mock the whole first round. As I said, we're doing the top 10, and then we got a couple questions. So I'm going to start with you, Chris. You mentioned you're a Duke fan. Well, you're also a Knicks fan, and the Knicks are going, 19 and 21st. Now, I want you to give me 1 or 2 guys that you really, really, really want the Knicks to land, and don't be crazy. Don't be like Cade Cunningham at 19. It's got to be realistic. Got to give me a realistic 1 or 2 guys.
You're telling a Knicks fan not to.
Exactly.
So,
well, yeah. I like to pride myself as being a realistic Knicks fan, and I think you guys.
You're the most sensible Knicks fan I've ever interacted with, ever. Like, hands down, far and away.
I think you guys can see that I'm probably one of the most, realistic fans. So obviously, I'm not gonna.
I know. I was just jabbing.
Do something crazy like I wish. No, I wish, but that's not how it works for the Knicks. But I think with 19 and 21, and I know the Knicks are trying to trade up. I know they tried to trade with Oklahoma City. Was it Oklahoma City or Golden State to try to get that 14th pick? But, trying to get into a lottery in this draft is going to cost you a lot more than what they offered. But at 19 and 21, you could still get really good. And the one thing I can't stand from a lot of fans is like they want the perfect player at 19 and 21. And it's like you're drafting at 19 and 21. You're not going to get a Cade Cunningham-esque player at that. So, like, when I say play, I think the Knicks should go after this guy. Well, he's not a fit. It's like but it's like, you're picking at 19 and 21. You're not going to get the perfect player. Like when you're picking in that range, you're going to get guys who have flaws. Right. So you're just trying to get pieces to build this team. So I would love Sharice Cooper out of Auburn. I think he's the best passer in the draft. I think he could do a lot of good stuff. I like Trey Mann, out of Florida. He improved so much from freshman year to sophomore year. Great shooter. I think he has definitely has some playmaking ability. I know people worry about that, but I see some potential in his playmaking. I think he can get better at that. Great shooter. A guy that's risen, Trey Murphy, out of Virginia. Big time wing, 6'9", 7-foot wingspan, can shoot the ball, can play defense. There's a few guys. Isaiah Jackson too is another guy who just blocks the living crap out of the ball every time he gets his hands on it. And I think there's some upside there, potential offensive upside that we didn't see at Kentucky. So those are a few guys I like. I mean, there's also Jaden Springer, but Miles McBride I like too, Bones Highland. So there's a few guys, but those are the guys that I would be, I think who could be there at 19 and 21 for the Knicks.
All right, pick one.
Pick one for each?
If you had to pick just one player. If you had to get one guy. Not for both picks, just one guy. Who do you want?
I want Cooper. That's my guy.
Okay.
I want Sharif Cooper.
I wanted official.
He fits. We need a point guard. We need a point guard, and for me, he helps. He fills that need. So
Okay.
I'm with him.
Elfrid Payton's not cutting it. All right. Had to throw that little shot in there. All right, so you want Sharif Cooper. We'll see what happens. Steven, did you have anything? Do you want to add anything on the Knicks?
Well, I just, if you go to offtheballnetwork.com, you can get all your sports needs there. In my mock, I had the Knicks mock to get Trey Mann and Kai Soto, the big out of Texas. There's kind of belief that like Kai Soto or Isaiah Jackson will be at about that range.
Kai Jones. Kai Soto is the G League kid.
Oh, sorry, Kai Jones. I'm getting my Kais mixed. So Kai Jones out of Texas, excuse me, and Trey Mann. I have them both mocked to go there. And a lot of the same reasons why Chris gave. Trey Mann, he's bigger. He's a better defender. I think that he's a more complete scorer, and I think that his passing will grow. And look, playing under Tibbs, I think that you go with bigger, faster, stronger, and trust that Tibbs is going to develop that guy kind of like a Jimmy Butler in Chicago. But I like the size that he brings, but Cooper is a great passer, just a little bit small for my liking there. And then, Kai Jones, he's got a bag in him that I don't know if it's there or not, but he flashed enough at Texas that I would be comfortable taking him there at 21 for the Knicks.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking at some of the mocks. This year's draft's going to be nuts. Like this mock I'm looking at, NBADraft.net, they got Sharif Cooper at 32, going to the Knicks, but not till 32, and then Trey Mann's right after him at 33. So, yeah, who knows whose mock's going to be right, but I'm relying on you guys. I know last year you did very well in your predictions. So, next question. So, we're going to go start with Steven. So, we talked a little bit about Golden State. I think, we had him taking Scotty Barnes, Chris Adams taking Barnes, but if you were Golden State, would you move to 7 and 14, or would you stay at those positions? And if you did, who would you target with that pick, those picks?
Well, I don't know. So if you remember, man, the Warriors were in a very similar situation last year. They just have a little bit more planning they can do with these picks because Clay got hurt like literally right before the draft, and they had the second overall pick, and everyone was like, yeah, the Warriors are going to package their picks and their players and get a superstar. And lather, rinse, repeat. They were in the down season, and now they found themselves in a very similar situation this offseason. Clay, we don't know what he's going to look like. They have contracts tied up between, Kelly Oubre Jr. and Wiggins, and now they have 2 draft picks, albeit they're a little bit lower now. I mean, if I was them, I would keep them and draft them, but something tells me that they're going to try to move them for a player, and now it's kind of coming up against the wire. By the time that this show airs, they're going to have, a day until they can figure out if they're going to get, if they're going to draft or they're going to get a superstar. There's the whole Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal rumor. I think they're going to get whichever player Philadelphia doesn't want because I think Philly has a better package. Because all Golden State can really offer is possibilities with these picks. We don't know if these picks are going to pan out, but right. Philly can give you a Ben Simmons and 2 really good role players and picks. So I think that they'll try to move it for a player, but I think that they should draft and kind of do what they did the first time when they started becoming a really good basketball team, drafting players and developing them.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why they're trying to do all these trades. Even if they do trade for Bradley Beal, let's say they do that, does that make them a title favorite? That still is a weird construction of a team. You're giving away a lot of defense too, so it's why not just? I understand they have win now players, but it's you have to get you have to develop guys too. That's how they became the Warriors, was developing Clay, Steph, and Draymond, and adding pieces here and there. So it feels like they're trying to get away from what helped build their dynasty.
Yeah.
And trying to, get that last, or trying to, capitalize on trying to win a championship. I don't think they're a championship team. I don't know if they forgot, but they don't have Kevin Durant on their team anymore. So unless they still think he's still on the team, unless they forgot, but he's not on the team anymore. So why not just keep adding young pieces and I don't know what they're doing. I don't get it, but I understand they're win down mode, but it doesn't make sense to me.
I'm starting to think that the idea of the Warriors are starting to kind of be more. They're a better team in theory than they are in reality because if they do get a star, they already don't have depth. Because they're gonna have to match contracts. So, and if I'm a team, I'm taking Andrew Wiggins. I'm not taking Kelly Oubre Jr. Y'all can have him. I'll take Andrew Wiggins. I'll take your 2 first-round picks, and you have to give me James Wiseman too. So now you have Steph Curry, you have Bradley Beal, you have an injury-riddled Klay Thompson, you have an uninterested, downside of 30, not as good as he used to be, Draymond Green. And what else do you have? Look at Brooklyn. Brooklyn had 3 big superstars. They did look in regular season. They were fine. I was defending them against everybody. But I mean, ultimately, you have injury-riddled plus 30-year-old stars riding out an 82-game season. They're going to get hurt. I mean, that's just the way it goes, especially Klay Thompson. So, I mean, Bradley Beal played in the Eastern Conference with Russell Westbrook and had to fight and claw to make a play-in tournament. Like, the Warriors may not be that much better in the West.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I think the Scotty Barnes picks make sense because he can, like you said, he can come in and make an immediate impact on the defensive side of the ball, be a playmaker. And then at 14, they're going to be able to grab someone else that can make a difference, either a shooter. I'm just throwing
Kispert, maybe
Kispert, that Franz Wagner guy.
Kispert,
Davion Mitchell. I love Davion Mitchell. I think Steven's high on him too.
Davion Mitchell would be a great 6-man. Yeah.
So we'll see. But all right, let's get a couple more things in before we get out of here. So I want one guy from each of you, a guy going too high on a lot of boards, and a super, like a sleeper that you guys love that's going super low that you think can come in immediately, make a big impact. So whichever one.
Steven,
go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I'll go first. Too high, and it's not because I don't like him, but the Scotty Barnes going like 4, 5, 6, I think is too high. I have him mocked 9th, and it's because where he goes is going to be very fit dependent as to his success. He's not going to go to a team and turn that team around, but he can go to a team like Golden State or Sacramento and highlight what they're already good at. He's not going to carry a team by himself because he does not have the offensive capability to do so. If your best attribute on offense is passing, you have to have pieces around you to bring that out, and he's not like a Josh Giddey touted passer. He's just like a capable passer, and he's a solid defender too. So I think he's a little too high. You're drafting him as kind of like a role player, and I wouldn't take that, any higher than where I have him on my mock at 9. So that's my too high.
And then what do you got for too low?
Oh, so okay, yeah, too low. Alperen Sengun, I've seen him go a lot lower than where I have him on my board. I have him going Golden State at 7, and basically everything that I laid out for you, my breakdown for him applies. Just total offensive bag. He's 18, 19 years old. He's a grown man, 6'10", got some good weight to him. I think that his offense is just too pure and too good and too polished to be a fail. To me, he's probably one of the safest picks, but he also has the ability to grow into something much better.
Okay. All right. Chris, where you at? What do you got too high and too low?
All right. Guy is going too high, and you just mentioned him before, but to me, I like this player a lot, but Davion Mitchell, I've seen him going as high as number 6. That's way too high for Davion. I think he's a definitely late lottery pick. I think what he brings to the table is defensive intensity, on-ball defense, off-ball defense. He may be the best, defensive guard in this draft. Offense got better, but I think I'm still weary of whether his offense is going to translate 100%. And to me, that doesn't scream top. He doesn't scream top 6 pick for me. So I've seen him go as high as 6. I think that's very rich. Late lottery, teams perfect, but top 6 is to me a little, a little too high for me. And guy that's going too low for me, guy that's going too low for me, Josh Christopher from Arizona State. I have him. I have him as a lottery pick. He pops. He's kind of like a little bit, he's kind of like Jalen Green, in a way, like as far as his explosiveness, is be able to create his own shot. I think those are all things that translate to the league. Shot creation, athleticism, that translate. I know he needs to work on some things, some consistency as a shooter, but that's, like we said before, there's a lot of guys that need to work on learning how to shoot. Like these guys, the 19-year-olds, like, and defense too. Like people talk about that, but to me, I think he's going low. I've seen him as low as 33 and 30s, and it's like in the second round. I'm like, there's no way, this kid should be a second round pick. He is a first round pick. Arizona State was a mess. It was crazy because they have a lot of talent. Remy Martin, Bagley, great coach, and Hurley, and they couldn't figure it out this year. It was a mess. But the Pac-12 was a mess. It was a whole big thing. Like I said, COVID year, you have to put that in effect too. Like, if you're not practicing, normal, everything is weird. And a lot of these kids didn't even have a true off season, as far as these All-American games and camps. So, but he's looked great. I think he's going to be a very good pro, and he's going to be a steal for a team that, I've seen him go in the 20s, and if someone gets him in the 20s, it means that's to be a playoff team. That's like RJ. He's very RJ Hampton, like, in my opinion too, where the talent's there. People just can't figure him out, but he's talented enough that he's gonna be good. And RJ Hampton to me is gonna be good. And I think the same thing with Josh Christopher. I think someone's gonna get steal late.
Yeah, and if I can just give one more to you, Pat, I won't even go into breakdowns. I'll just throw the names out. But another guy that I think people are too low on are Jeremiah Robinson-Earl. I have him on, according to my mock and his projections, going 12th to San Antonio. You don't bet against Villanova prospect. And then another guy too high is Josh Giddey. Like, all he does is pass, and if he's not a threat anywhere else, I don't know how good his passing is. So he's too high for me.
Yeah, no, Chris, Josh Christopher, I've seen his name rising here and there. And the two guys you mentioned too, Giddey and Giddey and who'd you just say?
Earl.
Robinson Earl from Nova.
He's too low. He's too low, man.
If Robinson Earl had a little bit more like vertical leap, I think he'd be like a lock top 20 pick. But he's good. He's gonna be a steal in that late first, early second for someone, because he can he has he's a Villanova kid. He's a hooper. He's a hooper. He could score. So he's a basketball player. He's a basketball player, though.
Yeah,
he's a hooper and a basketball player.
He's both of those things. Little inside joke there. All right, well, like thanks for coming on, guys. You guys are the experts. Like I said, that's why I got to have you on. You do the hard research. The overseas guys. I don't even know who that guy was, but I'm gonna go look him up now. But yeah, go.
I'll bring Shane Goon.
I mentioned these, like, Off the Ball Network. Go check these guys out. Our work is all on there, but also give these guys a follow. Steven, drop your Twitter handle, and then go over to Chris, and you can do the same. Plug your shows, do all that before we get out of here.
Yeah, and Pat, again, man, just thank you so much for the work that you do for the network. It doesn't go unnoticed. You're one of the best minds when it comes to, all sports, but I want to highlight real quick the fighting sports, the betting, and your football too, man. Like, you're great in all those fields. Just if you want to give me a follow, you can look me up on Twitter at StephenBTG. If you want to follow my podcast, it's called Breaking the Game. You can look it up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at BTG NBA Pod. And we're on Dash Radio, the Nothing But Net channel. It's just the basketball-centric channel. Chris is on there too, so I'm sure he'll plug that as well. But I'm on there every Monday from 10 to 11 Eastern.
Yeah, and like Steven does great work, Pat. You kill it, with the MMA stuff, combat sports, and all that. So I appreciate you having me on. You can follow me at Off the Ball Pod on Twitter, Off the Ball Podcast on Instagram. The podcast is available on all podcast platforms, also on YouTube. Like I said, I'm on Mondays. We got Off the Ball Mondays. It starts off with Mo, then followed by Steven breaking the game.
Nope, other way around.
Other way around. That's what I meant to say. It's the other way around. Starts off with Steven, then Mo. Yes, you're actually right. You know what? I should have known that because Mo loves following me. So,
yeah. And then we got the Hoopers at 8 on Mondays too.
And the Hoopers are on there. So we got some good shows. I host the 2K League show too, the post game show. So everyone, me, Mo, Jelani, we got a bunch of people, JP, who do that from Wednesday to Saturday. And like I said, follow everyone at Off the Ball Network, OTB_network on Twitter, Off the Ball Network on Instagram, Facebook. Check out all the live content, all the articles we have. So we're pumping up. We're concluded basketball season, as it comes to an end, and getting ready for football season. So check us out on there as we got a lot of good stuff for both the pro and college games. So excited about that. So yeah, man, thanks for having me on, bro.
Yes, sir. All right, thanks everybody. Check them out, Twitter. I'll post their handles on my Twitter, so go there, follow them. Next week, we are back next Wednesday as usual, UFC 266. Derek Lewis is fighting Cyril Gane. And then the week after that, we're kicking off football season. We'll be doing all our previews. We'll have a fan episode. So check us out. Go subscribe and go check out the mock drafts. These guys are super accurate, hopefully. And we'll see you.